Okay, Jacquelyn, how many jobs have you worked in your life?
I would say 16 to 19, depending on how you count them. Some of them were contract work, and some of them I was returning to the same theater. So I feel like it kind of racks things up a little bit. But yeah, a lot.
Yeah. I've done, I think, 15-ish, which also feels like a lot.
That is a lot. Yeah. What'd you do first?
So my first job was like a banquet set up for like weddings, where like we would set up chairs and stuff beforehand, like get the venue ready, and then sometimes I would have to work like the event and like bring out like plates of food. And one time I actually we had like little like stands, like that are like X's, and I like set one up, and then you were supposed to put like the desserts on it, and I put like the big tray of desserts on it, and then it just fell over.
Oh
the
my
stand
gosh.
did.
That's
And
my
then
greatest
it was like
nightmare.
a really loud crash, and it was just like, what was that?
That's funny.
Yeah.
I feel like that's what everyone's greatest fear whenever they're thinking about a serving job is something like that. 14 is so young for like
Yeah.
catering, like banquet kind of stuff. Like
Well, I might have been like 15. I started like the summer before high school, maybe, or
I
maybe
think
it
I
was in
would've been
between my
14.
freshman and sophomore year. I don't know. It was my first job. I was very young,
yeah.
and I actually did not work it for very long because I started during the summer and it was fine during the summer, but then it didn't really work with the school once I started like. I had cross country practice and like cross country meets every weekend, and so I quit pretty quickly actually.
Yeah. It's hard to balance with like extracurriculars. I feel like I actually didn't have a job, which was very lucky. Like I was lucky that my parents were like chill about it. I don't think I had a job till it was either between junior, senior year or senior year in college because of like all the extracurriculars, even in the summer. But my first one was I worked at, I'm going to name drop, American Ice Cream in Jackson, Missouri. And they had, because they were so small, they had a minimum wage of $5 an hour. And
What?
one of my friends at the time was working at the Dairy Queen, and we were like comparing the health protocols between the two, and there were some like
Whoa.
crazy concerning things. And so I ended up getting a different job pretty quickly because I was a little bit spoiled, but I was like, I'm not doing this. And I went and I started at a dancewear store instead. So I was like selling ballet shoes to little girls, which was pretty fun.
That sounds like a way better first job.
It was really nice, and like it wasn't super busy. And there was a dance studio in the back. And so I was like, I'll just like, if no one's in here, like I'm going to go to the back and like, practice.
That's fun.
Yeah, it was cool. And it was connected to my old dance studio. So like I knew the owner, and I did get a nosebleed during that job interview though.
Whoa.
And I was really worried I wouldn't get the job because I got a nosebleed. But yeah.
It showed you knew how to handle stressful situations.
Yeah, I can handle things under pressure and still be cool. I actually forgot about that until now.
That's really good. And then later in high school, I started a different job, which was a barista in a coffee shack within a grocery store.
Oh, yeah.
And I kept that one for like quite a few years. And I think even like when I came back during the summer from college, I would work there. And that one was really good on it, like a really good first job.
Yeah. I feel like that's the perfect balance between like serving and also, it's not a kitchen, but you know, you're handling the stress of the back and forth. And I don't know, I feel like that's the one that everyone romanticizes. They're like, oh, if I could just be a barista.
Yeah.
But you got to do that. That's pretty cool.
And it was like a lot of times it was slow, but then like it would be stressful at certain points, but never all day. Like, especially I feel like people that work at like a Starbucks with a drive-through
Oh my gosh.
get like super stressed, like constantly busy, especially like, if they have like a morning shift. But I would definitely have like dead time, and like my friends would come and visit me, and I'd just chat with them for like an hour.
That's so nice. Whenever there's that flexibility. Yeah. What came after that?
Then in college, I had quite a few different jobs actually. Well, I also transferred schools a lot in college. So the first college I went to, I got like an on-campus graphic design job. But again, probably worked that one for like 3 months because I transferred colleges in between my freshman year, like split up my freshman year between colleges.
Oh, like halfway through. Okay.
And then my next college, I actually had a really hard time getting an on-campus job, probably because it was like halfway through the semester. And I ended up getting one at the library where they were like cataloging their whole library system. And so like literally just like in the bookshelves, like I think I just had like a spreadsheet and just like going through and like, yep, this one exists. I found this one. Yeah, exactly. But it was kind of whatever, because it was like you can come in whenever you want to, just log your hours, submit your timesheet, like take breaks frequently, because this job is really tedious and boring. So like don't feel like you have to be working the whole time either. So it was kind of a perfect campus job.
That is really nice. I feel like that would be a dream as far as campus jobs go. They are hard to come by, like especially the good ones, like the more desired ones, like in like office administration and things like that. I'm trying to think. My first college job was technically, I got cast in a show that was like a paid show, and it was Seussical, the musical, which is a Dr. Seuss musical, and it was my first professional show and my first lead. And there were also kids in the show, and so we had like, it was a kind of crazy schedule. We learned the entire show in 2 weeks. It was like 12-hour days, 6 days a week. And we were like also helping the kids learn the show too, because like the kids were part of the small chorus, and there was like the Whoville. And so they're all like just like running around.
The Who.
Yeah, all the Who's. And that was really fun. It was very much like a very moment in time experience where like, I made a lot of really close friends at the time, and we were all like, this is kind of insane, and I don't like that we're having to rhyme as we talk and speak during this entire show. But it was one of the things where like we really enjoyed it too. And we were all staying in the dorms because they housed us for like a small fee. And one of our other friends like wanted to stay in the room with us. It was like 2 people sleeping on the ground, 2 people in the bunks. And it was like just one of those, like we were living there for a month together in that tiny, tiny space, and like just working together. And then whenever we weren't working, we would like try and like escape out to my parents' house or something and like go swimming or whatnot. But it was definitely like kind of crazy that we were paid to do that. But it did come out to like $3 an hour as far as payment. So it was pretty tough.
Life in showbiz, you know?
Yeah. You don't get in it for the money, especially not Seussical. And then later that summer, I worked my dad has an office because he's a contractor. And so nepotism worked in my favor, and I got to file some things, and I got to help run errands for, taking stuff to City Hall for my dad's job. So I wouldn't count that as like anything I got via skill. That was very much just, we need someone to do this, and you need a little extra money so you can do this. But yeah, got to be full transparency. I got where I got with nepotism,
Started there.
Yeah.
I had a couple other college jobs too. I went through a lot of different jobs in college. One of them was at the college that I graduated from. They had a on-campus like print shop for like the marketing department, like making like banners and posters and whatnot, stickers. And so I worked there like for 3 years. And Jonathan's brother actually worked there too, which was really fun.
Oh, that is fun.
I did like a more administrative I did like some like still got to print posters, cut them out, deliver them. But I did more of like a coordination role, but of like getting the jobs ready, making sure every job has like a ticket. And like I designed a ticket that like had all the facts about the job, like the department and the cost. And I delivered a lot of stuff like around campus. Jonathan did more like applying graphics, because I feel like the floor stickers were super in on. I don't know if that's still a thing.
Oh yeah, I think
they were
did
super
get those
popular.
In. Yeah, that's funny.
And so Jonathan would always have to like go install those in different places, or fix the like the banner stands that are like collapsible.
Oh yeah,
he was always fixing those.
That's funny.
They break really together. Easy. Yeah.
That's fun.
And then during like the summer when I actually stayed in Moorhead, I went back to a different Caribou Coffee Shack in a different grocery store. That one was not as fun. The management was not as good there, so it's whatever. But it was a job. It was fun. I worked with some of my friends, so that made it good.
Yeah.
But then probably one of my favorite college jobs was there was a local promoter in Fargo, and I did ticketing. So like people calling and buying tickets, and then like going to shows and like scanning tickets when they walk in the door.
That sounds fun. I feel like you'd get to maybe see some cool shows or at least be around for them.
Because any show that I worked, I could go to for free. Like, because we would shut down, like, I think like a couple songs into like the headliner. We would like close the ticketing. And then, I would get to go watch it if I wanted to. But a lot of the time I didn't watch the shows.
Or were they kind of weird? Or
just
not your thing?
I think a lot of times just like not my thing. And also I was like, I don't know if I really like want to go to this show by myself right now. I think I might just want to go home.
Yeah, I feel like it's definitely a different experience by yourself. You have to really want to be there.
Which I did get to see. There were some cool ones. Like I got to go to Nathaniel Rateliff. I got to go to Robert Plant when he did a solo tour. But a lot of them were like Queen cover bands. It's like, I'm not going to that.
It's such a random, I mean, it definitely fits for like, I feel like that's what would come into our small town too, is like the most random cover band. I think we got, I'm trying to think what the cover band was. I actually don't remember what it was, but definitely in that vein. Was that your last job in college?
Yeah, that took me like out of college.
Okay. I had, the year after Seussical, I got cast in the next show, which was a 2-person show. And it was, there's a theme here. I was a theater major, I guess I should add for context. So this is what I was trying to do professionally. And it was a show about the country singer Patsy Cline. And I got cast as Patsy, and I had to learn like 26 songs, I think, which has helped for like being in a band now and like having to memorize, because like there are a bunch of monologues and a bunch of songs and a lot of black wigs. It was not my cutest era. It was but I think, I mean, the costuming for that was really insane. Like they did such a great job for it, because I was on stage and then the other girl that was like telling the story with me, she would have a monologue and I would have to quick change off the stage. I think I had like 8 costume changes throughout the whole show. And then like, so Patsy Cline dies young. She is like a part of the 27 Club. She dies in a plane crash. And so like I come back in like a white dress at the end, like singing from heaven. And it was really cool. It was a good like professional experience. And I got to play with like, we had a full country band that backed us. Ooh, so we had,
that's fun,
the pedal steel player. His name was Mike, and he was like this really sweet old man. And he was like, you know, I always collect sweethearts from my shows, and now you're one of my sweethearts because we were in this band together. Like, not in a creepy way
It could
at
be
all.
very creepy.
It could be very creepy, but he meant it in like an endearing, like very sweet, very, very kind. And so that was really cool. And my voice teacher at the time was also the pianist, and so like we got to hang out, which was fun. And then after that, then I kind of got random. The next summer, I worked at a shoe store. Well, also, I guess backtrack, I was still working for my dad's company at this time, and I was running a lot of like stuff places basically. And I got rear-ended on the job in a company car by someone that didn't have any insurance and their license had been revoked. And I got like pretty severe whiplash and a concussion, and I had to like not audition for stuff and like I had to like not do anything for a month. The doctor at the time was like, you should just lay down for like a month. And so that wasn't ideal. But after that, I got the job. And also that was a nightmare with work too, because I was like, I'm so sorry, Dad. Like I just got rear-ended in this company car that is like brand new.
Yeah.
But it all got worked out with insurance and everything. But after that, I worked at a shoe store called Marcy's Planet Shoes. You get really comfortable with feet because they were like orthopedic shoes. And so they had the Cinderella method. And so you were supposed to, anytime someone came in, you were supposed to put the shoe on them. But then there were also like kids coming in, like kids my age or like kids that I knew that were like coming to get Chacos. And I was like, I remember one of the kids who was in high school and I was in college, and he came in to buy Chacos, and I knew him from the theater program from my high school. And I was like, I'm really sorry, I have to put this on you. Like, I have to fit like this shoe to you, otherwise like I'm gonna get in trouble. So that was kind of awkward, but
That's so awkward.
Really,
oh my god,
it was really awkward. Learned a lot of customer service there. Yeah, that was, I don't know. I know that I don't think I would do that again, but it was a good experience. And then I think after that, I was just, I was too busy my senior year to really have that job anymore. So I was just at Kiefner Brothers again. So yeah, now we're in post-grad era.
Yeah. Post-grad, I continued at the local promoter, like outside of college, just because it was like, I could do it part-time, and then I could kind of do it as much as I wanted. And then, after, I guess I started at the end of college and into the summer after college, I was an intern at Bobcat, which was cool.
Like the construction?
Yes,
Bobcat?
like skid steers.
Oh,
yeah.
That's cool.
I did their internal communications, which it felt like my first like real job, like adult job.
Yeah.
And it was so sick because their headquarters has a heated parking garage underneath it. Very necessary in Fargo.
Yeah.
And I was driving my Geo Tracker, and it's like so rusty, and like I don't drive it over like 60, and so there's no rules against like interns using the parking garage. So I'd just show up at 7 a.m. and park my crappy Geo Tracker in the heated parking garage and go up the stairs, and I'm like, this is the life.
Yeah.
I was like, it's a little spa day for my car.
She needs a break. She works hard.
Yeah, especially in the winter. But yeah, it was a good job. It was just like putting like things on TVs, sending out like a newsletter. I did a little bit of like writing, like interviewing people when they retired, or like get to know you articles.
Yeah.
I did one time we had like an article about like the newest skid steer technology or something, and I accidentally put like the wrong image. It wasn't a skid steer. It was like what's another type of machinery?
I don't know. An excavator?
No, it wasn't an excavator. It was just like, it was a track loader.
Okay.
So like they kind of have similar shapes, but one of them has tracks. But I immediately got like quite a few messages that were like, you have the wrong, that's not a skid steer. And I was like, okay, on it. And I had to like update all the content.
Oh man. That's
Major
so
blemish.
funny. Yeah. You know, I feel like you never did that again though after. I bet that really
that
stuck
was
with
mortifying.
you. Yeah. I feel like the first mistake that you make that's someone notices at a new job is the most terrifying. And then after that, you're like, okay, this is not a huge deal.
Yeah.
But that's funny. I guess my first one post-grad, I got cast in a show, or actually got cast for like a summer season at the Black Hills Playhouse in South Dakota. And which is really funny because that is not, how far is that from where you live actually?
It's like 6 hours.
Okay. But it is where Jonathan, one of the summers I was there like a quarter mile away. Jonathan, husband of Jonathan, was there a quarter mile away on a bachelor trip while I was there, like on the same lake before we knew each other, which is just crazy to me. I know like it's just a very small world, but I was cast in the show Oklahoma as the lead Lori, and I was also cast in like a murder mystery. And then when I wasn't working those two, because I was an intern, they would have me shift around. So like I got to work in the costume shop for a while. So I was like sewing buttons, and I just remembered this, but I knew how to like alter denim for a little while. I don't remember that.
Great skill.
I wish I could recall it. I need to get that back. But yeah, there were I got to work with some really cool people there, like Amber Cook, shout out. But that was a really cool experience because we had a director who he has shows that he's written on Broadway, and he came out and directed the show for us. And he also had a release party for his newest, I guess, his newest musical that he had written. And like he had like a live release party with us, and I just remember him like coming up and handing me a shot and being like, "For my leading lady." It was really cool. And then I think that night I convinced everyone to go to Center Lake and swim in the middle of the night, which is where Jonathan was staying. But that was really neat. I made some really good friends there, and we all got to live on campus in the middle of the forest. And then the practices were out there, the shows were out there, and sometimes there would be like bison that would come through the camp, which was so cool and terrifying. But yeah, it was a lot of hard work, and it was really challenging, and it was like the thing that kind of made me be like, oh, I want to keep doing this. Like, this was incredible. Not super sustainable for me personally, but it was, I don't know, it was just so cool.
And the Black Hills is like, so, I bet it's just like a big shock because the Black Hills is so peaceful, so beautiful.
Yeah.
Like,
well, that was my first introduction to like really enjoying the outdoors. And like, that was the farthest west I've ever been at the time. So going back to Missouri after that and like living in my parents' house, like no hate against them. It's just, I think, a psychological thing of like, you go back home after that and you're like, oh, I can never relive that. Like, it's such a moment in time. But got over, like, took like probably 2 weeks. And then I started on the recommendation of my friend from there at VIP Kid, which I know we both did. VIP Kid is I think it is still around. But there's been a lot of laws that have changed. But it's a learning platform for kids, primarily in China, to talk and learn with an English-speaking teacher, primarily in the U.S. And they create the curriculum for you, and you follow the curriculum, you teach it to them. You're a 1099 worker, so you can set your own schedule, and the kids can book with you, and you can do things like make yourself more marketable. Like, you can... What I was recommended to do was to stay up all night and like open a couple evening slots and just pull a couple all-nighters to get your numbers up, I guess. And then you can start like, I think my normal shift I did was like from 5 to 8:30 a.m. But in the early days, I was doing like a 2 to 3 a.m. And I remember like falling asleep as I was teaching, which was not good. But my shtick was I had like a ukulele. And I went by Teacher Jack because I feel like Jacquelyn's a lot of letters for a young child. And I kind of targeted the young ones. And that sounds really bad. That was my demographic that I tried to teach the most. And that was a really, really good side hustle. I really enjoyed that. I did have to drive in from my parents' house because they didn't have internet at their house.
Oh.
I drove in to my dad's office and did it from a closet.
Nice.
And I had like a little background and my little laptop set up. But... You actually did that. I know that I might be jumping around because you probably did that a little bit later on, right?
Yeah. I when we were in the van, I tried to do it. Well, I started in Fargo while we still had an apartment, and I did it from a closet there as well. So we both started in the closet. Yeah. And then when we moved into our van and we're traveling, I tried to do it then too. But it was like rarely, I would use my hotspot on my phone as internet, which is a crazy move. Or I think sometimes we'd park in like a Starbucks parking lot and I would do it there. But it was like rarely worth it because we'd have to wake up at like 5 a.m. so that I could teach like 1 or 2 classes. Yeah. And I don't think I marketed myself well enough. I had like 1 or 2 like pretty loyal students, which was kind of nice because then it was like on a cadence of like twice a week or whatever. Yeah. And they were older too, like maybe like 10, which is kind of nice because you don't have to have as much energy. It does take a lot of energy for the young ones. That is tough. Yeah. Yeah. I feel like that would be so hard to maintain, like doing van life though. I think it worked for me because I didn't have any like real responsibility at the time other than that. So like I just kind of made my schedule as I needed it. But the sleep thing is tough. And so I feel like van life, you're already kind of sleep is a premium depending on like where you're going and where you're staying and all of that. I feel like that would be really tough to do. So I commend you for that. Yeah. Well, I didn't do it for very long. I quit. But yeah. I was also told
the other tricks I was told, like through all these forums and like YouTube videos, like wear glasses and lipstick and like look done up, which is kind of funny. But I think there was like, they are just told, a lot of people here were told, and it was kind of recommended by VIP Kid, is like, if you look very American, they're going to want to book with you and talk with you, which I know that's like kind of questionable. But I did.
You're marketing yourself.
I did try. And then they would probably show up in the lesson and be like, this isn't who I signed up for, because I'm just like fresh out of bed.
Yeah, just like, I awoke from the grave.
I did. Well, because you can only cancel so many of your lessons. And I had one day I drove in and I hit a deer on the way in. And I was okay. The deer was not. But I was so shaken up and like I was like crying, and I had to get myself together. I was like, I can't like get a demerit off of this lesson. And so I got it together and I taught the classes, and then I drove back home. And
for the children.
I could see the deer on the side of the road.
Oh, that's bad.
It was tough. But yeah, definitely a cool concept. It did.
I wish it was easier.
Yeah, I wish that the time difference is tough. I feel like, I guess, would it be easier here than in Missouri, time-wise?
No, I think it's easier on the East Coast.
Yeah, you're right. So it'd be harder. So it's probably, I mean, that would be a tough thing too, depending on where you are. Well, I guess, what was your next one post-grad?
I have one more that I forgot about. It wasn't really a job, but in college I took some classes to get a certification in publishing, and they had like a partnership with a publisher in Minneapolis. And so as like part of those classes, we actually got to like edit and like communicate with an author. So another thing in college that I kind of forgot about, wasn't technically a job, but our college had a partnership with a publisher in Minneapolis, and you could get a certification in publishing. So I did that in college. And one of the roles, like we were in like small groups, and one of the roles was like to communicate with an author, and their book was getting published. So we were editing it, and I was communicating back and forth with the author of the edits we were making, being like, you should probably rephrase this sentence. I don't really understand what's happening, or like just like we made these edits on these pages, and kind of going through like that. And he ended up dedicating the book to me. So I need to find a copy of it. I think it was called The Trash Detail.
Yeah, that's really cool. I feel like that could be an elite fun fact to have, like at a new job or anytime you meet someone, like if they ask something about you, like most people can't say that they've had a book dedicated to them.
Yeah, a great fun fact. Yeah. Or like 2 truths and a lie. Like you haven't had a book dedicated to you.
You're like, actually,
I have.
You should definitely get a hard copy of it so you can prove. That'd be a good show and tell too.
Oh, it would be a great show and tell item.
And so after that, I guess going back to post grad, you said you stayed with the promoter like full time for a while.
Yeah, so my internship ended at Bobcat, and I eventually ended up going full time there and taking over like more operations on the ticketing side and like scheduling ticketers for events. And I did that until May of 2020, which is at first he kept me on. It was a local promoter. He was like, the situation's not changing. I can't keep paying you. And so then that summer I got a pay raise by being unemployed, and then just kind of didn't do a whole lot. Like I applied for marketing jobs, but it was a hard time to get a new job too.
Yeah, I feel like if you're gonna have a summer to do that, that would be the summer to do that for sure.
Yeah.
But were you traveling by then, or were you still?
We were still in Fargo at that time. Yeah, that's that paid for a lot of our van expenses though. Was the COVID money.
I bet my sister also got to collect, and it was, I think she was able to pay for the rest of her master's with it, which was really nice. I was very jealous at the time because my hours got cut in half, and I was already making like very little money. But my hours got cut in half, but I applied for partial unemployment, and my employer denied it.
That sucks.
They did get brought back up eventually. But it was just one of those things of like, do I need to get another job? Is there going to be another place hiring? But I guess catching up to 2020, I was doing the VIP kid thing pretty consistently, I would say, for like a whole year. And then along with that, I was doing that in the early mornings. And then I got cast in a show in Indiana for a Christmas show, which I love Christmas music and I love Christmas, but we did 32 shows and I was pretty tired of it by time. I was able to make it home for my own actual Christmas with my family. Like I left like super early and like made it for family Christmas and everything. But I was so tired of Christmas music by the end of it because it was just like, I want to say more than 32 shows. I think 32 days of shows, but like there were 2 show days and it was, I was also in their housing, which didn't have any windows in it. And it was winter and it was a town of like 600. So it was a very isolating time.
Yeah, that doesn't sound as fun.
Yeah, that was definitely, I think I definitely got spoiled at the Black Hills as far as like the experience of, doing the traveling theater thing. And then went back and did a Valentine's show with them. Then was doing VIP Kid, I picked up Go-Go Kid, which was another platform. And I was doing both of those. Got cast in another summer at Black Hills, luckily. And got to do Mamma Mia, which was very fun.
So fun.
Yeah.
That feels like peak musical.
That was my swan song. Cause like I was dealing with a lot of health stuff at the time and I was like, I'm probably gonna have to take a break after this. And I had a lot, I was like very dizzy, like very faint and just, I felt really bad for the theater cause they were very accommodating to me, but I was like, I'm not like a reliable performer. Like I made it through all the stuff, but I was like, that's just not a cool thing for my castmates to have to deal with. But it was so fun. It was like pure escapism. I remember the Sturgis rally, was like a big motorcycle thing in South Dakota. They were coming through, which is a crazy concept. It's
wild.
Like 30,000 motorcyclists on all these back turns in the Black Hills. And I think the day we always have our morning announcements and they'd be like, the motorcyclists are here. There have been 2 casualties already, so just be careful on the roads. And I was like, what?
Whoa.
But they came, like some of the men came to Mamma Mia, and there's the part, like the Slipping Through My Fingers song between the mom and daughter. And one of the costume head came up to us after, to myself and the girl who played my mom after, and she was like, you made those men cry. Like there was a man who was just sitting there and he just did a little of that, which is really funny. And then we did Still Magnolias after that. And then, sorry, this isn't very rapid fire, is it? I'm trying to go fast.
I want to hear all these details.
My friend hit a bison. The bison was okay. His car was not. He was okay. That happened that summer. What else? I think, it was a great time. And went home, took like a month off because I was just figuring out a bunch of like autoimmune things, and then kept doing VIP Kid. Ended up getting a part-time job as a receptionist for a hair salon for a little while, and then jumped to a office assistant job in marketing. That was in February, I think, and so that was February 2020. And it was technically an office assistant job, so I would do like all the restocks of the office and whatnot, but they also, like, the big thing that they had me do was every Monday it was like real estate marketing videos, and they would have like all of these chunks of words describing each of the houses or each of the listings, and I would have to take like 500 listings on Monday. It'd have to be done at the end of the day Monday, and write them all out and make them cohesive and coherent.
Oh.
And like edit them and all of that stuff. And that was so hard for me. This was like my first big mess up where like I got multiple times notified by my manager, like, you had some typos and the voice actors are complaining. And I was like, I can't think after Monday. Like it was like a Monday through Friday job, but Monday was the day that all of that had to happen.
Whoa.
And I was like, is there any way I could do some of this like on the weekend or like Sunday or something to catch up? Cause like by the end of that, I like could not think at all. Yeah. And I was like, I feel like the attention to detail, I should have asked the girl who I replaced. I was like, have you ever like had any typos? Cause that was just so hard, but it was really cool. Like I got to learn a lot of proofreading and copywriting and stuff like that. then COVID hit. We all went remote for a little while. Hours got cut. And there was a coding boot camp in my town that my friend was considering going to, and I applied for it because it was free. It was like grant funded for like rural innovation. And so whenever I got into that, the classes were on Monday and Wednesday nights, and I was like, well, I'm not going to be able to do Monday nights if I'm still here. So I ended up resigning from that job because I was like, I need to go to this boot camp. Like, this is like a thing I want to do. So I ended up getting a barista job for a little while, and worked there and went to the coding boot camp. And now we're at like August 2020.
That fall, during COVID, I finally needed to get a job. I ran out of unemployment benefits, and I ended up working at a high school as a teacher's aide paraprofessional. And so I kind of had like kids that I was assigned to, and like went to different like high school classes to like help them in different ways. Like some of them just needed like their tests like read out loud to them. Other kids, it was like they're probably out in the hallways like talking to their friends, so kind of like go find them and be like, you should get to class. But if they don't listen to you, like,
what are you gonna do?
Go collect what happened in their class and see if you can get it to them, and help them catch up later. Which that was a pretty good job for that time, honestly. I kind of enjoyed it. I liked that like you weren't clocking in, you weren't clocking out, like you were just showing up for your job and doing your job. And I don't know, I feel like teachers are a little bit hit or miss, but a lot of times they're like great people. Yeah. Like people that have hobbies outside of work, that like have interests. Sometimes it feels like people don't have that anymore. And I feel like in the teaching sector, it seems like a lot of people did. Yeah. Well, at least then. But it started out kind of weird and boring because everyone was online.
Yeah, were you going somewhere for that, or were
I still went to the high school? Okay. And sat in like a room with a couple other teachers, which was fun. I got to know them. And in that classroom, they actually started bringing in kids sooner. There were kids that needed more help, and so they would bring them in like small groups sometimes. And so then I would actually interact with kids, but otherwise it was like trying to like virtually connect with kids, which they weren't online. Yeah. They weren't, at least not for school, they weren't online.
That's so hard. I can't imagine being a para or a teacher at that time.
No, I was so bored during that time, which I started learning how to like do like HTML and CSS and like a tiny bit of JavaScript because I wanted to like build like a portfolio website from scratch and design it. And so I started like manually like learning how to do that during that time because I had so much downtime that like kids were avoiding me because
like, I can't do anything.
Yeah, literally had nothing to do.
Yeah, that does sound like a really cool job though. Were you teaching like general population kids, or were you teaching, I guess the only term I've known for a paraprofessional before is one of our friends, Ellie, who like she works with kids with special needs. Was it like, were you dealing with that or like behavioral issues, or was it just like aid work for teachers?
It was more of an aid thing. I mean, there was other paraprofessionals that were like in classrooms where like that were a lot more hands-on, but my role was like kids that just needed like a little bit of help, like maybe they had a reading problem or like different like disorders that like prevented them from like doing really well in like normal classes, but they still like went to those normal classes. And so I would just like give them assistance so that they could do well in those classes too. Yeah. It was fun because I pretty much had like a class schedule that I followed.
Yeah, that is nice. Take you back to the days.
Yeah, I was actually in a health class too, which was really funny. So there was like, it's also funny because like I went to high school in South Dakota. This was in Minnesota, and so the health education, the sexual health education, is very different.
Much more thorough, I would bet.
I feel like in South Dakota, I only got to see like photos of STDs on genitals. And that's what health class was. Yeah. But in like Minnesota, like they went like pretty in depth over like birth control and like the lady was like, if you're not willing to talk birth control with your partner, then you're not ready to have sex with your partner, and like just like demonstrated like how to put on a condom onto like a wooden penis, and it's like, if you're not comfortable talking about this, you're not ready to have sex, and just like very like blunt education about it, which I thought was way better.
That's so, yeah. I'm thinking back to my private school, Missouri sex education, and I remember what they had. It was like 2 pages, and one page was like an illustration. It looked like it was from the 80s of like a groom carrying his bride and her bridal gown and her veil into the bedroom, and they're like, this is what it is. And then
it's this magical moment.
Yeah. And then we learned about STDs, and we learned about it via, we all got different colored M&Ms, and we had to trade with everyone in the class. And if you got blue M&Ms, you got it. I don't remember what it was, but you got it. And that was really the extent. And yeah, we were just, that's so funny. I would have had like a little bit of culture shock seeing that too, like going to Minnesota and be like, oh,
which they did they covered STDs as well, and they covered like how quickly it spreads, and like, but it wasn't just STDs.
But you know how it happens, and too, you're not like in the dark on ways to prevent it that aren't just not.
And like, this is in high school, like,
yeah, you gotta educate. Yeah, what do you have next?
Yeah, so we left Fargo, moved into the van. I did VIP Kid a tiny bit around that time. And then we traveled for the summer, and my friend Sarah invited us to come out to California and work at a winery for Harvest. And she gave us a referral because she'd worked at the winery the year prior. And so we did that, which was pretty fun. California's so beautiful, especially we were in Sonoma County. We worked at a winery called Simi. And it was just like kind of a magical time because we had a Honda Grom, and that's what we used to drive around for them. Well, we had the van and then a Honda Grom. And so we would drive that all around. The winery was like 1 mile from the apartment that we were living in with my friend. And it was really long days. It's very labor intensive.
Yeah.
So that part was tough, especially Jonathan and I both worked there together, which was kind of fun.
Yeah.
It would have kind of sucked if we were at different wineries, just because we were working such long hours that we would have like hardly seen each other if we were working different jobs, and we would have been exhausted. But this way we had the exact same schedule. We saw each other at work. So it worked out well that way, but it was 80-hour weeks for like a couple of months straight. And Jonathan got to work at the press. And so grapes come into the winery on a truck, gets dumped into a press, it gets sent to tanks. And he got to man that for the most part until like the truck stopped coming for the day. And then he would move on to other tasks. But I got stuck doing additions.
Which you didn't like.
No, because it's like you get a work order of like, this tank needs like this much acid added to it. And so then you go into, there's like an additions room with like, has like yeast, acid, nutrients, different things that you put in wine, and you measure everything out, and then you go find the tank. This is a large winery too. There's 8 cellars.
Wow.
So you figure out what cellar you're going to, bring all your stuff with you, and then you mix it all up with a giant whisk, and you like, I mean, there's different protocols for depending on what you're adding. Like yeast, you would use warm water, and like you have to like let it sit and whatnot, but you mix that into the tanks. And my hands just got like so raw because they're constantly getting wet.
Yeah.
Like this like part of my hand just like was like cracking, and like I should have worn gloves.
Plus all the chemicals, I'm sure.
A lot of chemicals. Yeah. Yeah. Was it, I mean, it was fun in some ways. I would not do it. I don't want to go back into wine. But it was a really cool experience, and it's nice now too. Like Jonathan still works in wine, and I have such a good understanding of what his job is, which is really nice. Like, he can be like, yeah, I was doing pump overs today, and I was racking tanks or whatever. And I'm like, I actually know what he's talking about. Like I have a a visual in my head of what that means.
Yeah.
And if I didn't work there with him, I wouldn't have had that.
Yeah. I feel like that probably gives you a better understanding of like harvest too, and him
Yeah.
being away for so long, like
Definitely.
being able to know like this is exactly what he's doing. Like it's not just like, you know where he is and you know
Yeah.
what's going on.
And I know it's hard work too. Like, I feel like my patience for him would be like way lower if I hadn't done the work also. Like, I remember how exhausting it was. And at the end of the day, you don't want to do anything.
Yeah.
You want to like lay in bed and like not think. And so I definitely am able to give a lot more patience during harvest. Otherwise, I feel like I'd be so annoyed. I'd be like, yeah, I get that you worked all day, but
like I want to go
I
out.
haven't seen you.
Yeah, like I want to talk.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That is a tough time. It's one of those things.
I've been in his shoes, you know?
Yeah, you've seen it. I feel like it sounds really hard, and it's also one of those things where you said it's like a beautiful moment in time, and it's something that's probably easy to romanticize of like, I just got to get out of the 9 to 5 and go do that, but like it sounds incredibly difficult.
Yeah.
And like physically hard on your body too.
It was, yeah. I said that's the skinniest I've ever been because I was just like running around all day.
Yeah, probably getting like 30,000 steps.
Yeah, easily.
Yeah. Dang. That is a really cool like job to say that you've done too, though.
Wait, I had one more thing about that.
Yeah.
Not only the skinniest I've ever been, and I was eating a slice of chocolate cake before bed every single night. We kept going to Costco and they had like the chocolate like Tres Leches cake, and we would buy it every time we'd go to Costco. And then Jonathan wouldn't eat it because it's Tres Leches and he's lactose intolerant.
Oh.
And so I would eat the huge Costco
Wait, the
cake.
whole cake? Or
Well,
no, like
over
a piece of
multiple
it?
days.
Okay,
yeah,
yeah.
I would eat the entire cake.
Wow. Was that the secret?
That's the secret, is getting like 20,000 to 30,000 steps a day, and then you can have chocolate cake every night before you go to bed.
That's a cheat code right there.
Yeah.
That's so funny. So I'll
Catch us up to Aleda.
Okay. So was doing the coding boot camp, ended up getting a second job at a fulfillment center for a small business that this guy he started this company called Send a Friend during COVID, where you could like send a stuffed animal with a personalized message. And he was like 21 when he founded it. So I'm older than him, working for him. I was fulfilling stuff in the back with everybody. And so that was kind of long. Like I would just put in my AirPods and like be fulfilling things every single day, putting things in boxes, putting like double animals in boxes with the correct note and everything. And there was kind of a quota to hit. But then a position for like email marketing opened up, and I ended up getting to go to the front of the store and working with the guy who founded everything. And he like taught me some design stuff, taught me how to use Figma and how to use Klaviyo, I think was the software. So I was like building email campaigns kind of, and you could see the open rates, and I was able to like get the open rates up a little bit, which was really cool. And I felt so bad whenever I called him. I ended up getting my Aleda offer because I completed the boot camp while I was working there, and he knew that that's what I wanted to do eventually. So I worked, I think, in that position for like 4 months. And then I ended up calling him as soon as I got the offer from Aleda, which I had done the interviews for, thought I wasn't going to get it. I was like, this went really poorly. And I didn't hear from them within 24 hours, which they said they would tell me within 24 hours. And I was like, I don't want to do that anyway. And then I got the call the next day and kind of had the discussion of like, do we, partner at the time, want to move out to Boise, Idaho and do this and see what happens? And the answer was yes, because we both wanted to get out of Missouri. And, this was kind of the ticket. So moved out to Boise, Idaho, said goodbye to Send a Friend. He was so cool about it. He was like, I'm so happy for you. And like, if it doesn't work out, like you can always come back. Which I love whenever I have nice job breakups. I think it's really pleasant. But came to Aleda, started with their like internal boot camp. And I think I was the second class that was in that. And basically it was like ramping you up for a certain stack of development. And they had this program called Ascend, which was where like a lot of young people all kind of got hired at the same time who were out of the industry, like coming in from different jobs. And that was such a cool time and such a cool, I don't know, experience because we were all like kind of around the same age. I didn't have any friends here. And so that was like, I was like, oh, it's kind of built in. I can make friends through here. And a lot of young people working all in the office together all at the same time. And that continued for like 2 years, I'd say. And yeah, I guess I'll stop there and let you catch up to Aleda and we can go from there.
Yeah. So I guess like while I was working in California, like I knew I was like, I don't want to do this for the rest of my I'm not cut out for manual labor. And so I kind of was thinking back to when I was learning to make my portfolio website myself. And I was like, I feel like a really fun job would be to like redesign government websites, web developer, just like reorganizing, restructuring websites. And so I knew that I didn't want to go back into college. And like, I was like, I kind of want something fast paced. Like, I don't know how old I was, maybe 25 at the time. I was like, I don't want to go back to college and start over that way. Yeah. And so I kind of was entertaining the ideas of like software boot camps. And I ended up choosing the one here in Boise. And went through that. It was 3 months and got my job offer at Aleda. And that was, so I literally started school in March, got the job offer in end of June.
Yeah.
Started in July. And also went through the Ascend program. And I think that I started at like peak Aleda. It felt like there was a lot of young people that the office just had so much fun. Like, I don't like a lot of people in like a similar stage of life, similar hobbies, like same kind of humor a lot of the time. Well, for the most part, like just like really enjoyable place to work and be.
Good people.
Good people, which really make a job. And I was just really excited too about being in a new industry and like learning from people. Now it's been 3 years and I'm still there, which is the longest I've had a full-time job at one place. I think at 2 years that was already.
I think at 1 year was my longest. Like I wouldn't count VIP kid or anything like that because it was so short, you know. But yeah, first industry job also stayed there the longest. And it's interesting because it's changed so much since even Aleda in the tech industry changed so much since we started. But luckily there's still some like through lines of people like Graham is like one of my first friends that I met in Boise, and now we're in a band together because I have forced him over the course of 4 years and I guilted him into it. And then I remember the first week that you started, you brought Jonathan out. And you're like, my husband plays the bass.
Yeah, you guys needed a bass player.
Yeah, we really needed a bass player. And then like another 2 years after that all lined up. And now we're here too. We did a podcast actually for Aleda. And that was the inspiration for starting this one. Because we were like, we could do it like more fun.
Yeah. Not for work.
Not for work. For the girls.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I feel like there's been such a change in the tech industry since then as far as, I mean, you've survived 2 rounds of layoffs. I guess me too.
2, 3 maybe? I don't know.
I think there's been like another soft one, I guess. Yeah, so I'd say you survived 3. Yeah, 3 layoffs, moving offshore, you know, the whole shift in, I don't know, I feel like there's been layoffs in Microsoft and Meta and Amazon. And I feel like the whole return to office, luckily that didn't happen to Aleda. It was very much, the office is kind of not really a thing anymore. But it is nice. It is interesting. I think you were saying that like a lot of people don't have hobbies outside of work. And I feel like that small group that we found, because everyone was like the same age, so we have time for hobbies. Also just all liked similar things, like all liked going camping, all liked the outdoors, and like the fitness
willing
challenge.
To try new things too, I think is huge.
Yeah, because I am, like I said, I didn't explore the outdoors until I came out west because of the humidity and the mosquitoes I've discovered. That is why. I think that's what
Those
did
things
it for me.
will kill the vibe. Mosquitoes, woo.
Stayed indoors, and the brown recluses. There were just so many things that I think I just didn't appreciate at the time, which I bet going back and like exploring the outdoors more at home I would now. But I just didn't really have a window to it. But yeah, I think that trying new things and just being in a place to be creative and try a podcast and try a band and, you know, just do creative things for the sake of it, I think has been really fun. I don't know, Boise just seems like a really good place for that to thrive.
Yeah, it does.
And I guess I would kind of lump my next two jobs. It's all kind of similar. I moved on to a contract job for a little while, doing just development, not consulting, after 3.5 years at Aleda, and then moved on to a full-time job at a consulting firm. And so it's good. It's remote, so it doesn't have, I don't know, the luster of what, you know, Aleda had. I feel like the thing that I'm like reflecting on so much with all of these jobs is like a perfect moment in time that isn't really going to be able to be recreated. And I think whenever we were all in the office together and all like kind of grinding but not too hard and like having our Friday beers together and we started all camping together, I feel like in the moment, and maybe because I'm just like too sentimental of a person, but I was like, oh, this is like really special and it's not gonna last, so I really need to like lean in and enjoy it and make these friendships not just work friendships and like put in the effort to bridge that gap as an adult, because it was so like special and I knew it wasn't gonna be forever.
It is kind of crazy. Like, I feel like it's rare to have like your coworkers be such great friends.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like, yeah, there was like a summer especially where it was like every Friday we were getting like beers together and like getting to know each other. And now like a lot of us don't. Isaac Graham and I still go into the office and cause chaos in our corner. But like you don't work there anymore. Like other people have left or been laid off, and like less people come in to the office these days, but we're still like in touch. We're still like friends with a lot of people, which is, it's cool to like be able to maintain those relationships. Cause sometimes like when you move on from a job, like a lot of times like you kind of cut ties with those people and don't really like, but it's like, I was like, when Jacquelyn was leaving, I was like, I know we're still going to be friends. Like,
I was so nervous about it. I think I was like planning.
You were, I remember.
Planning, and I do that. Like, that is just something that I do because I feel like adult female friendships are always more intimidating for me for some reason.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't know why. And it's not like girls are drama or anything like that. I just feel like the stakes are lower with guys because I'm like, well, if this doesn't work out, I'm going to go find somebody else to be friends with. But then for girls, I don't know. It's just different.
It is different.
So I was definitely planning a lot of like, we could do this and this together so that we can hang out.
The podcast.
We could have microphones so that we can have like a fun conversation together and hang out.
And I feel like it's a new thing. Maybe it just feels like it to me, but like like leaning into female friendships more. I don't know if that. I feel like we are just like leaning into being a girl more and like loving hanging out with the girls. It feels like that's something we're valuing more now, like in society than we used to.
I agree. I definitely feel like, and maybe this was just because of, I don't know, social anxiety, awkwardness, whatever you want to call it. But I also feel like I feel like a lot of the times I would center whatever the male relationship was in my life at the time, whether it was like friends or relationships. And I feel like that would be like my sole focus. And I feel like I did that a little bit in high school with my high school boyfriend, which happened like freshman year. And so I didn't have that time to make those initial bonds. And I look back on that, I'm like, I wish I would have focused more on like the girls and the women. And I do think that's become more of a talking point lately to be like, you need to invest in your female friendships because they're the ones that are going to like be there for you in ways that maybe your partner can't. And that's okay. Like that's like, your partner shouldn't complete all of you and complete all of your emotional needs or anything like that's what
friends
your
are very important.
Yeah.
It's very important to maintain those relationships. I think actually when Jonathan and I like started dating, that was definitely, well, we started dating in high school, so don't take this as peak advice, but it was something that was really important to him, is that when he had friends that would get girlfriends, he wouldn't see them for like months.
Yeah.
And he's like, I want to keep my friendships. Like, I love my friends. Like, I really like dating you, but like, it was really important to him that he kept his friendships and like his relationships with his brothers. And I feel like that's something we've kind of continued to do like through our marriage, is like friendships are really important for like both of us. Like, as much as I love Jonathan, he hates like when I like just like talk about details of something, or like I just remember when we were trying to decide like what we wanted to do with the truck, of like what kind of like situation we wanted on the bed, that like I could talk about it for hours and like just be like, oh, like I hadn't considered this, and like just like think about it. And Jonathan's like, I don't want to think about it until we're buying something. He's like 10 minutes before we buy something is when I want to talk about it.
That's so funny.
So I guess at that time it was Isaac that I mostly talked to about that stuff. But like,
well, that's important too, just having just friendships in general. Cause I was even thinking like there are some more like, I guess, emotional subjects that like sometimes I would be like, you know who I think would want to talk about this? Graham. I'll talk to Graham about this, because I don't think this is what Isaac wants to hear, needs to hear. It might be, I don't know. I think people are just different, and it's good to not get everything out of one person. I think I have learned that the hard way.
And one person can't provide everything that you want, need.
Yeah. I definitely have like tried to step back from that, as far as like trying to be that one person too, because I think whenever Isaac and I first started dating, which I'm so happy that like he kind of pulled me into his world of like the outdoors and like skiing and mountain biking and just like enjoying, you know, the outside and trying new things. But I had to like, I talked to my sister about it a bit, because I was like, oh, I just feel like really insecure, because I feel like I'm kind of like a girly girl, and like he's very outdoorsy, and I feel like sometimes, you know, maybe like that's not what he wants, or maybe like he doesn't like I don't know, like how I dress or like my hair and makeup and like blah blah blah. And my sister was like, he likes you for you, like you shouldn't have to like cater yourself to him, like you need to be who you are, and like embrace that like feminine side of you too, and it's okay. And you can also like the outdoors and like, you know, getting in the dirt and everything. I don't know if that makes sense, but just
it does.
Not having to like,
you don't have to curate yourself for someone else.
Not be everything. Because like I think one of Isaac's friends called him whenever we first started dating, and Isaac was telling him about him, and he was like, well, does she mountain bike? And Isaac was like, no, but she like sings. And I was like, okay, that's a good trade-off. Like, it's just funny that was like their first question of like, does she do the same exact hobbies as me? Because I don't think you have to have the same hobbies at all. I think it's nice when they cross. Yeah. Like, I feel like camping is the one that crosses everyone's Venn diagram, like kind of in our friend group, which is really fun.
That pretty much concludes my jobs. Other than I'm now a band manager.
You are.
So I'm
financial asset manager.
Yes, well, I created a bank account for the band, and I manage the funds. I send them statements.
Yes.
And create some graphics. But
you do a lot of graphics.
And it's nice to have some creative things. Sometimes I lack that in my job. So it's nice to have creative things outside of work.
Yeah, and just for anyone who's listening this far in, I should mention this earlier in the podcast, but Maria does all of our graphics for Wait, Who Are You? As well as all of the editing, and she got the music for us from her dear friend Ross. She does a lot of the creative legwork behind everything. I think that's really cool. Like, it's kind of hard to split up that work, and I want to take on more of that work, but I feel like, that should be known. I'll announce it earlier on the next one. We got to get it whenever we got Kudos. Peak viewership. Yeah. I think, right now I'm at my consulting job and do development, and then I do this. And I think the band feels like a second job in a good way. Like it's
a time commitment for sure.
It's like, I mean, it's definitely like a challenge. It's one that is very rewarding though. Like every time I think, I don't know, I know that I can be a little bit type A for the boys, and I can be a little bit annoying with my text messages, and so I've tried to really pull back on that. But I feel like I've learned a lot as far as like organizational skills and some not managerial, because you're obviously our manager, but like as far as
Jacquelyn, you guys would not have played a show if it wasn't for you. You've gotten the shows booked. You've been managing those connections. Like the boys would, and just like motivated them to actually like get a set list together and practice and like actually accomplish something. They needed a goal. They needed a deadline to like get stuff in order, and that you achieved that.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It definitely has been interesting, like learning the networking part of it, because I'm not good at that, and so I literally did it all via email and through our friend David. But yeah, that's been really fun, and I think that's my main hobby, I would say, for the foreseeable time. That's called a job. It's a job. We're getting paid.
You made money, yeah.
Yeah. But what would you say is your favorite one looking back on of everything in the list?
Like I still think the job I have now is my favorite job that I've had to date. It's like not my dream job. What I'm doing is not my dream job, but as far as like I think I just like value like my time a lot, and like getting paid well enough to like be able to do the things I want to do outside of work, and like work is like actually engaging. And like I also, the most recent project I was on was like the perfect level of I have enough stimulating work to do without feeling overwhelmed, where like I'm learning new things. I wrote an article actually about like a new AWS service, and just like kind of working with like one other coworker closely, and like getting stuff done, but not feeling overwhelmed, not feeling like I need to put in 10-hour days, or like,
that is a sweet spot.
For the most part, not feeling too stressed about like this needs to be completed today. I don't know. Yeah. Like, and like I feel really good when I feel like I'm accomplishing something.
Yeah.
And so I feel like most days I feel like I accomplish something at work. Not all days. But like I feel like in development, like it's decently like fast paced, and so I do feel like I'm accomplishing things like on a regular basis.
Yeah. That's really good. I would say the same. Like looking back, as far as like a moment in time that I can't recreate, it would be at the Black Hills, because that was just so special because of the location and the people. And I mean, you inherently become close with people, and like I have gotten to maintain some of those friendships. A lot of them, you know, we've lost touch, but I wish them all well. But it was like 16-hour days, and you're rehearsing for one show during the day and performing the other show at night, and it's really hard on your body. And like that was a very fair place. Like they were very fair to their actors, and they took care of everybody, and like they fed everybody really well. There are places that are more intense that pay even less, that like don't do that. So I think that was like a great time, and I'm glad I got to experience it, to like let it go and move on from it. But yeah, I would say right now, because of the ability to do everything else, like being able to buy an instrument, or like buy like some like cables that I need, or like, I don't know, buy a nice bike, and have the free time when everyone else is off to do things. I also like, I missed a friend's wedding whenever I first started like my first theater job, and I didn't realize at the time like how big of a deal that was. And I like, that kind of still haunts me a little bit. And so like being able to like go to people's things and like not be conflicted, and being able to like go to funerals and go to like the things that really matter, I think is part of why I like,
it's so flexible.
PTO is nice. Like it's so nice.
Yeah.
To not work and be paid while you're off, and not be worried about it.
And like I have managers, but for the most part, like it's up to me to like figure out what to do for the day. Like I don't have like a ton of overhead, which I think I really hate having a ton of I know I don't want someone like waiting for me to like get everything done, and like just like watching over my shoulder. Like that drives me nuts. Like I am an adult. I will accomplish things on my own accord. I don't need that.
Yeah, no, I think that totally makes sense. I get nervous if I don't have some touching base. Like right now I'm working in a like a service where you write some code, but it's all like kind of plug and play code. But you're writing the code, it just has to work within ServiceNow. And I'm the only one who like has been researching it and knows anything and about that specific software. And so I'm putting it on myself to like reach out and check in with people, because I'm like, nobody's even seeing my code. They're just seeing like the product of it, and I'm not 100% sure this is the best way to do it. This is what I figured out. So I think I've been leaning a little bit more towards like, I'm putting the onus on the other person of like, I'm sending you my daily updates, and that like, if you're cool with that, then that's great. But it is nice to not have like the constant like, oh, well, you estimated this would be like 4 hours and it took you 6. What?
Oh,
You know?
yeah.
Yeah.
Which, to be fair, I still might. I don't think I was meant to be in tech. What motivates me more than anything about my job is the people I work with. So at the end of the day, it's like, I'm going to get this task done, not because I like care about the implementation, but because I know it's going to affect like our client relationship. It's going to affect like my coworkers' amount of work. Like that's still like probably one of my biggest motivators of like doing a really good job, is like, I don't want to add to other people's work.
Yeah, you don't want them to be like, oh, who did this and why do I have to fix it?
Yeah,
and
so the check-ins are important. Yeah.
I think it's nice though to, like you said, that this is not your dream job, and I think there's a lot of comfort in that, because I don't know, the dream job can let you down. It can be way too much. You can like start to resent it. And I feel like with this, like, I'm never going to resent making music and going for weekends with friends and like doing stuff like that, because my emotions aren't invested too much in the job.
Yeah.
Which I know like it can be hard to walk that line, and I've definitely leaned too much into the side of like, I have to be on all the time and like do the best job ever that anyone has ever done, which is not a good way to look at all of it. But yeah, it's good to be like emotionally removed from it, which is nice.